welcome to another episode of Reverse Ambition, a podcast that features those who take a leap of faith to follow their dreams and passion. My name is Kelsey Cooper, also known as a social broker, and I'm very excited to talk to this young lady today. We've been homies forever, and I lost contact with her a little bit, but I recently reconnect with her, and she was in New York, living a life, working a 9 to 5, and now she just went and did her own thing, started her own company called The Sweet Faith, which is, please, Nina Taylor, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, girl.
Hello. Thank you for
Thank you for
having me.
being here. You look amazing, by the way. You're glowing. You are glowing. You got a nice teeth and everything. I'm just saying, I'm giving credit and giving love where I'm giving you flowers. that's a new term.
It. They always say, give them to you while you're alive. So thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. So I want to take us through your journey to, first of all, I want to know what Sweet Faith is. The Sweet Faith, your company, just a quick definition of it.
Yeah. So I actually started the company a little over 2 years ago. And it was actually off of the cuff of one of my old clients saying that she had wanted to work with me. And I wasn't for sure how to take that leap, but she was just like, I've always enjoyed what you do in corporate housing and how you serve clients. And I just feel like this could be a great connection. So we actually started the company out of assisting faith-based organizations. But a few months after actually starting the company, she decided, nope, I can't leave corporate America. And so we parted ways. But I was like, I still want to do this. I just felt like it was right. It was right timing. I felt good about it. I still wanted to pursue it. And I didn't know what the future entailed, but I was willing to continue to take that leap.
Okay. So what's the industry that you are in? Just to kind of give.
So it's short-term housing. So
okay.
Essentially, we started the business out of helping with temporary accommodations.
Mm-hmm.
So that's essentially what it is.
Oh, wow.
When I completely took it over at the end of 2018, it literally became assisting executives of minority-owned businesses with temporary housing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
what examples in terms of the need? I didn't know there was such a demand for temporary housing space. So why would someone need temporary housing? Executive need temporary housing?
Well, why would anyone need temporary housing? So essentially, when you think about a short-term stay, you're not just talking about a weekend stay, but you're talking about relocations, people in between homes, closing and buying. You're talking about entertainers, actors who are, doing a movie for 6 months. You're talking about right now during the pandemic, registered nurses traveling.
Wow.
Housing.
I didn't know this industry really existed. And I'm in real estate.
Decades.
I didn't know.
It's been around for decades. I have worked with some of the major global, companies in this industry. Oakwood Worldwide is one of them. Furnished Porters in the Northeast, like they're top in the global synergy. I've partnered with them. There are so many, big heavy honchos. But specifically, what my company does is I'm that middleman between what those companies offer and me actually providing those services through a woman-owned, minority-owned business. So it gets to where I can actually put a brand together for you. I can, put together a lifestyle for you. So just ironically, when it came time during the pandemic for kind of me to transition everyone out of New York, because I had quite a few of my clients in New York.
Oh, wow.
Since I moved back so I was in New York for 13 years. I moved back to Texas.
You know what? Hold on. We're kind of ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
I just really want you to explain your industry a little bit, but I really want people to know your journey and who you are and how you got to where you are now. And I got to the point where you're starting this company, like you just shared a while ago. So basically, where you from, where you grew up, where you went to college, what you majored in, and let's start from there.
Okay.
And then we'll continue the conversation.
Full speed.
Oh yeah, you went full speed. That's my fault though for not
No, it's all
really
good.
introducing you properly. So I kind of like that was my cheat way
No,
of you doing it
you know
for
what?
me.
But I feel comfortable with you because we have known each other for so long. So
I
this is
know.
just
I know.
it's just, in the kitchen, having, a little conversation with my friend. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is good.
Okay.
So I actually grew up in Arlington, Texas, which is
Okay.
a suburb in the Dallas Fort Worth area here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I went to Texas Woman's University.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's 45 minutes north of Dallas.
Uh-huh.
It's an all girls school, but it's not. It was open to men by the time I got there, but
Mm-hmm.
no man is going to say they went to Texas Women's University. Yeah.
Right.
So I graduated there
What
with
did you major in?
business management
Okay.
degree right there.
Okay. I
Yep.
see you. I see you, girl.
Paid every dime for that. Yep.
Mm.
And I immediately, so growing up, I would literally drag my mother to open houses. I would be
Mm.
like, let's go. And then in the
Just
grocery,
randomly, you just like, I want to go to
yes,
open houses.
I want to go to open houses.
What age did you start doing that?
On Sundays, because I've always been fascinated with housing.
Mm.
And I always, not just housing, but I enjoyed furnished housing. So I like
Wow.
looking at models. I always did. My mother, I'm sure she was probably sick of it, but on Sundays, I would just be like, oh my God, they have an open house. Let's go and see
That
it.
was your hobby.
That
You a
was my
weirdo.
hobby.
You a
And
weirdo.
literally like third, fourth grade, I would
Uh-huh.
like, that's what I did. And then when I went into the grocery stores, I would always pick up apartment guides.
Oh,
And
wow.
I would go through them and just like look at all the new stuff on the market and stuff. So I assumed that eventually I was going to be a real estate agent, at a brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized exactly what that job entailed and the car salesman part of that job. And I was like, that's not my personality. I
Yeah.
I don't want to just sell something. I actually want to like get to know who you are, what you do.
Mm-hmm.
How can I make this whole situation a life for you?
Mm.
So
So
I
that's what inspired you. I mean, I'm assuming that's what you're about to share what you did when you graduated from college, right? Okay.
yes,
Just making sure.
yes.
I'm ahead
So
of you.
when I graduated from Texas Women's University in 2001, I went straight into property management.
Mm.
And so I kind of, worked my way up that, ladder of, sales and structure. And then I remember going to one company. It was a top luxury company in Uptown Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the girls said, well, I'm leaving to go work for a corporate housing company. And I was
Oh,
like, what,
what is
what is
that?
and so she was just like, well, it's the same thing that we do in property management, except for it's furnished and they stay for shorter periods of time. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, it's the best of both worlds. Sign me up.
Right.
So I literally cold called one of the GMs in Dallas and he hired
Wow.
me a few days later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, you
So
go getter.
I was like, nope. I literally, when the yellow pages still existed, I
Uh-huh.
literally went into the yellow pages, found their office. I called on a whim. Ironically enough, he answered the phone. But no, that was just all God. And literally, I got with the company. And the reason why I got with the company, because I had already had planned in my head that I was moving to New York. So I
Oh.
made sure that they had an office in New York before I called him to get the job.
Oh, not only do you ask for a job, you're like, I want it in New York City. What
Yeah. Yeah.
made you think that you had the galls to really, you
I
know,
didn't. I didn't have, you know what it was? I remember having a conversation with my mother when it was time for me to get out in corporate America. And she always embedded in me that I needed to definitely live out my dreams
mm,
because she was a young mom, didn't get a chance to
mm,
go to college and kind of do all of these things. And she wanted to make sure that she saw it in me that I had the drive to do it. So she's like, I don't want you sitting here, wasting your life away. Go live your dreams.
mm.
And I took a trip to New York, fell in love, literally cried on the plane. And I was like, I'm
Wow.
moving to New York.
What made you fall in love in New York?
Everything. And it was freezing cold too.
Hey, no, you a Texas
It
girl.
was
You're a,
freezing cold.
you're a southern Belle.
Yeah, I am a Southern Belle, but I walked from 110th Street all the way down to 59th Street
In the cold?
in the freezing cold and
Wow.
enjoyed every moment of it.
What was it? What did you love about New York? The energy, the buildings, the cold weather?
You know what it was? It felt like a melting, which it is. It's a melting pot of
Mm,
anything that if I felt like if I could live, it's a cliche. If I could make it there,
mm-hmm,
I could do this anywhere. And I could
mm-hmm.
be really, really good at it because I would be able to talk to pretty much anyone from anywhere in the world because
Okay,
that's where they go. They go to
okay.
New York.
So you fell in love with New York City. You got this great opportunity in corporate housing, and you moved to New York. How is that transition, and how is that, job? How is that?
Scary.
Why?
So I stayed on. So the GM in Dallas hired me. He said, if you want to transfer, you have to actually stay in this office for 6 months until
Mhm.
a transfer is available. Thankfully, literally at 6 months, New York had a position open.
Wow. Look at
So
God, right?
I had to interview for that position too.
Mhm.
And he was like, I can't start you out in our sales division. I mean, he was like, you don't even know New York. You were late for the interview. I don't know what I can do with you, but I can
Right.
put you as like an assistant to, one of the people in sales and, we'll see what happens. And I was like, okay, I'll take it.
That
Like
was a
I did pretty
demotion?
good.
That was
I'll
a
take it.
demotion?
It was a lateral move actually.
Okay.
So because it's Texas, New York, they pay more. So
Oh,
of
okay.
course I got a little bit more. And of course I got to stay in one of the corporate apartments for a month. So
Wow.
yeah, so I was living on the Upper East Side in a 2 bedroom, 2 bath, and making a little over minimum wage.
Wow. But your housing was taken care of. You were good. And in prime location too.
Because again, when you work for corporate housing, there are certain perks that you do receive.
Mm.
So it all really worked out on its own. I mean, I found a roommate who was amazing. We still talk. We're still
Mhm.
connected on portals. Like she's amazing. Diane, awesome. Like that girl is just incredible. So
Mhm.
I lucked up on the roommate situation. So I quickly found a roommate within that month. I also stayed with one of my friends that I had actually met in Dallas. So he put me up for a while too. So it took me a minute to kind of transition into my own place
Uh-huh.
with a roommate, of course.
Okay.
And, so I just really, through that company, working for them like 4 or 5 years, I just worked my way up that corporate ladder until, I was lead salesperson, head of the department. I just
Oh,
kind of,
wow.
yeah, just kind of kept going up. But then I got laid off
Ew.
because I was the highest paid.
Oh.
So that's how that works.
Oh.
Yeah. So it all,
Why did you get laid off? Why did they do layoffs?
well, really, during that particular time, I was doing really, 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 really good. And
Mhm.
not everyone was doing really, really good. And
So they were haters. They were haters.
I wouldn't say that they were haters. It was business. I mean,
Mm.
in life, that's just business.
Corporate America for you, huh?
It's corporate America. When you work a 9 to 5 and they just feel like we could put someone else in that position to make a lot less,
Uh-huh.
and just develop their skills, on or from someone else who can be so it happens. Like even the guy that laid me off, I'm still friends with him.
Oh,
But
wow.
I mean, it's business. My severance was nice. I'm not
Okay. Well, at least they took care of you a little bit.
They did. So
Okay.
no complaints. I still have amazing people, from Oakwood. It's like so no, I have no complaints.
You kept your
I
relationships.
did,
Of
and it was
course.
just, when it's time for you to go, it's just time.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I don't know how to take the leap of faith, God is like, okay, time's
Mm.
up, let's go.
So God was like, okay, you got too comfortable. So I'm gonna light a little fire under your behind.
Exactly. But I have to admit, Oakwood is where I actually really established my corporate accounts. And what I
Mm.
mean by that is like one of my first biggest accounts I had gotten was Steve Harvey and his
Oh,
morning
okay.
show. And so I housed him partially until he, set up his own situation. But his whole team, management, all of that, I did his whole platform for him the whole
Nice.
time he was at WBLS.
Uh-huh.
So that was like my first major one. From there was some great entertainment referral clients. So, Anthony Anderson, Morris Chestnut,
Oh,
John
wow.
Howard. So they all just came off
So you
of,
were building your Rolodex at this, and
and
of course,
it was a call-in. We were having an event that day, and I remember staying back in the office to answer the phones. And Steve Harvey's manager called, and I was
wow, look at God. Yo, God's been
amazing,
wow.
amazing.
So you got laid off. Now you got this amazing Rolodex. What did you do next once you and a great severance?
I did. So I really, I went back to property management, and I actually got with one of the top development companies in New York,
Mm-hmm.
out of Glenwood, and they were doing a new leasing project in Midtown, 38th between 8th and Ninth. So definitely out of their customary white glove upper
Mm-hmm.
side development. Everyone's like, why is Glenwood, kind of scrubbing it? Um, but it's literally still one of the best buildings there. So that
Mm-hmm.
project they
I
had,
could tell you have a passion for
I love what
buildings.
I
Like,
do. It is stupidly insane
oh
about
my
how much
God.
I love what I do.
I think people
Really,
gonna
really.
hear you and be like, I want to do what she does.
It's because it's fun. I don't know how to explain it. How it's not a broker, it's not property management, but they had a baby, and
Mm-hmm.
so there's a corporate side to it, but there's also environment of where you can actually have a relationship with these people, and even though it's short term, they're long term because it's corporate, so they're going to continue to come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you constantly have a developing relationship. The bookings, I always say oftentimes, is that's just the icing. The cake is the development of it, is, watching this baby become, a toddler to a teenager to,
Mm-hmm.
an adult. So it's this creation.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got to Glenwood, they told me, it was like, oh, well, we can only hire you for a couple of years because that's, how long the project is going to go on. I was just like, okay. But I knew with Glenwood that, one, I'm going to make a lot of money. And that was the
Mm-hmm.
first position I'd gotten where I could make six figures without any problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to really have the best time.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to work us hard because it was a lease up. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, it's 2 years. Okay, cool. I'll get my money, whatever. But I was like, I don't see this going for just 2 years. So
Mm-hmm.
the lease up happens, and our team was so amazing.
Okay, what's a lease up for people
So
that
a
don't know?
lease up is basically when a property opens and it's completely like everyone's coming to
Okay.
rush in and get the best deals.
Mm-hmm.
So all the brokers, all the realtors of New York basically was like, if you're renting, I want to go here because I can make some quick money because I'm
Mm-hmm.
just trying to lease it up.
Okay.
So essentially it's, where you get all the deals, 2 months free, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And this 2-year project, we leased it up. We leased over 300 units in 11 months.
Were you out of a job then?
In the winter, by the way.
Wow.
Like we started right before winter and like finished, like it was, I remember snow boots and like snow
Wow.
walking to work and stuff, like, but no. So I stayed on because they were like, we want you to stay on.
Oh wow.
And
Is it a Southern Belle vibe that, because you seem like a very positive person. What is it that make these folks fall in love with you in terms of wanting you to be a part of what they're doing?
I genuinely am happy about what I
Mm-hmm.
do.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily, even though for most of my career it's been working for someone else, I don't consider it a job. I consider it a blessing that I'm putting a roof over someone's head.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me feel good to know that I'm servicing someone.
Mm-hmm.
I always want to be a servant,
Mm-hmm.
in some regard, and to do it in an industry that I love. I hope that exudes off of every client that I
Right.
actually help.
How many people of color is in that space?
It's I mean, it's typical corporate America. You walk in the room and you're the only, chocolate shade.
Wow.
Um, but a lot of us just don't know about it.
Okay.
Um,
Right.
So the people that do, it's because they've, done property management, whatever, or they really don't understand the concept, or they might see it better to be a broker or,
Mm-hmm.
to be in property management, because you really do have to build something here. This
Mm-hmm.
isn't, kind of a quick fix thing. Someone calls in, you show an apartment, they sign a lease, they move in, you never talk to them again until
Mm-hmm.
renewal time.
Right.
That's not this.
Mm-hmm.
This is relationship building. This
Mm-hmm.
is, I have your cell number, you have my cell number, you text me when you need to. I text, and it's not a 9 to 5.
Right.
So these are relationships I'm building.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked that. I always loved the design of it. I always enjoyed putting things together and structuring it so that, people actually found it to be a true home away from home.
Okay.
So I have, sorry, I did a ding. I'm
No
so,
worries. We're gonna
okay.
have to we could keep going. We're gonna have to edit that part out.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. And
That's all good.
I put it on airplane mode. I don't know why it did that.
Yeah.
So after I decided with, Glenwood, I was doing really, really well. They asked, could I rotate throughout the different properties that needed, help with lease up. So I did that as well. And that actually got me an opportunity to get to know some of the other properties that they had because I really didn't know them.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that for a little bit. And then I, of course, got a little antsy and was like, I'm doing good financially. I feel good about, where my career is going, but I felt like if I had stayed with Glenwood, I was settling
Mm.
and I wasn't being challenged anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And
But you
I
were making good money living the New York City life. How was your social life? Exactly. So you
it was
made it.
it was good, but I still knew I could do more.
Mm.
So I hadn't I just didn't want to give up.
Okay.
And they were actually shocked. They were like, "Why are you leaving?"
Right, right, right.
I was like, "I just want to, continue building my career." And they were like, "But why are you
Right,
leaving
right,
again?"
right, right. I'm actually asking that question. A lot of people who leave a job is because they're mad. They're not happy. They're not
Right.
fulfilled, and they feel overlooked, or they're minorities. For in terms of us, people of color, they're minority in a white environment, and they feel like they have to put on all day and be someone they're not. So, but that's not the reason why you're leaving, because you clearly was yourself, and you were comfortable in your own skin.
Oh, no, no, no. Let's be clear. I still worked for someone. So
Mm-hmm.
all of Nina was definitely not what Nina is
On
today.
display. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Um, so when you work in corporate America, that's just the norm.
It
You
is what it
you
is.
do not get to be a complete you when you are working for someone else and they're paying you to be what they want you to be, not necessarily what you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So the work ethic and what I inspired to do was always there. That wasn't going
Mm-hmm.
to change. But the making sure I was on my P's and Q's and, hosted, accordingly and appropriately, that was always that's just what we do,
Mm-hmm.
in corporate America. So that didn't change. But I decided to get straight back. So I went literally property management, corporate housing, property management, at the lease up with Glenwood, and then I went back to corporate housing with furnished quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with furnished quarters, I had, been out of the game for a bit. So they were like, "You have no accounts. You cannot bring us anything. So why are we hiring you again?"
Wow.
And I literally was like, "Because I know pretty much every broker in New York City, and they can bring some of the top clients that you're ever going to need. And if you give me 6 months, I'll prove it to you."
Wow.
Yeah. So, and my boss was from Dallas. So I did that
Okay.
whole Texas thing.
Right.
And he was like, "All right, I'll give you 6 months." I was like, "Okay, cool."
Uh-huh.
And within 6 months, I brought them a multi-million dollar account.
Wow. How were you able to do that?
So, brokers,
Mm-hmm.
no one wanted to touch brokers because New York City brokers, they can be
Yeah.
black licorice. Let's just, call it
Yeah.
what it is. I like black licorice though.
Uh-huh.
I like working with them. I like actually telling them what to do. I like the hustle that they provide because when they are, in it, they want to win. So
Mm-hmm.
they're not gonna waste my time.
Right.
So I love that. So what I would do is, of course, on the company dime, I would, buy them lunch or breakfast during their broker sales meetings.
Uh-huh.
And so I would be like, hey, I'll buy your whole team lunch or breakfast whenever your sales meeting is. Just let me have 5 minutes of so I can pitch to them, our product. And they would be like, yeah, sign you up. Okay, let's go. And literally, that would just send me referrals after referrals after referrals. And then finally, within probably about 4 months, I got
Mm-hmm.
one of my biggest accounts still to this day. She called me twice. I remember her calling me, and I was, working on this other deal, and she called me again. And I was just like, what? And she was telling me, she was just like, we have this other provider, we're not happy, and someone in the office, actually one of the owners of Corcoran, the Corcoran group, which is huge. It's Barbara Corcoran,
Yeah.
Shark Tank.
Uh-huh.
It's like one of the executives. They heard your pitch. We want you to,
Wow.
yeah. So we want you to come in and see if we can, work out something. And then another deal like that came in from Douglas Elliman too.
Uh-huh.
So it just happened. So my boss was being my wingman in the
Uh-huh.
big time global account meetings. And he was just like, I can't believe you're doing this. And I was like, yeah.
Wow.
So that's literally how my career really took off. So Oakwood was kind of more, I did a lot of entertainment stuff, but Furnished Porters became like my corporate accounts. So,
Mm-hmm.
big time fashion companies, banking companies, real estate, insurance. It was a lot more industries that I
Mm-hmm.
had never worked before that,
Right.
I mean, literally kept coming in. So,
Wow.
yeah.
I'm just trying to envision your lifestyle, because I know these brokers' lifestyle because I was in a real estate space in New York as well. And it's all about networking and networking with the right potential clients that has disposable income and high net worth
Oh, yeah.
individuals. So I could envision the world that you moved in, you
You have to
know.
wine and dime.
Uh-huh.
Lots of restaurants got a lot of my corporate money. Um, but you spend time with them.
Uh-huh.
You take them out. You get to understand them and know them as a person, so you don't screw up their housing. I mean,
Right.
the people that are away from their families sometimes, like I said, for 6 months, sometimes a year.
Right.
So, most accounts, I will say, in corporate housing tend to be around anywhere from a month to 3 months. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a typical stay. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're talking to someone who is moving literally from London and packing up their life and coming over,
Yeah.
to New York, you want to do a little bit more than just be like, okay, well, here's some pictures online, and
Yeah.
let me take you to a couple of places. Okay, pick one. No,
Right.
like it's a whole experience. I had my own car service. Um, he was a small business, and so he set up all these luxury cars, so I was able, anytime I needed something, he was available to all of my clients.
Wow.
So I got to take them around, and beautiful Bentleys and stuff like that, and just kind of lavish them out, take them to the finest restaurants in New York City. And it was a great experience also for me to be in those environments, because as I'm taking them around, I'm learning too,
Right.
and getting to know how to do this, even
Right.
though some of them knew, some of them didn't, but it was a great experience to have that, because they would always come to me like, Nina, what's the restaurant I need to go to this week? Can you call that one and get me in?
Wow.
I was that
Yo,
girl.
I feel like your life is a movie, girl. Like I
Oh,
feel
no.
like someone could like write a script based off the story that you're sharing. It's just dynamic and it's
It
dope.
sounds good, but it's still a story. There were still some bumps. There were,
Mm-hmm.
still some curves. Like I said, I did get laid off. Um,
Yeah.
so
But then again, you found this other opportunity. You say, give me
always.
6 months, and within 4 months, you brought this major client. So what happened when you did that? How did your boss react?
He was shocked at first. I mean, he really didn't think that I
Why was he
could do it.
shocked? Why?
Well, because he didn't know me. I came in after going back to property management for a little bit, just basically did the job to make the money. and
Mm-hmm.
then, came back into corporate. And he was like, "You're not really bringing anything to the table." He saw my eagerness to want to,
Mm.
thrive. But, it's New York. He's like, "All right,
Right.
let me see what you got."
Right. Right.
So he took a risk and he bet on me just like I bet on myself.
Mm.
And still to this day, he's one of my mentors.
Okay.
I love Craig. He's just, I mean, I want to put him in my pocket. He's a gift and extremely inspirational and kind.
Mm. In New
And
York, you find these individuals in New York City.
he's a
Wow.
good person. He's a really
Wow.
good person. So I love getting his Christmas cards every year. So he's a great guy. So he trusted me. And the
Mm-hmm.
one thing he did that I remember him being the first at is not micromanaging me.
Mm.
I hated being micromanaged, and
Right.
still to this day.
Right.
And he just let me kind of spread my wings. He was just like, "You said you're going to do this, do it. I got other things on my plate. So come to me when you need me. We'll talk at the end of the week and keep it moving." And that's what we did. And when
Mm.
I needed him, he was there. So
Wow.
when I needed him to go on a double date with me with clients, he was there.
Wow.
So it was those things. When I needed him to help me out with New York stuff, he was there.
Nice.
So I had a good team, but I also had, a great mentor inside as well, with another young Black woman as well, who saw me being eager of wanting to really achieve this, and she also
Mm-hmm.
helped me too.
Mm-hmm.
So I had, with everything that you do, you're going to need help, and I just had
Mm-hmm.
good help.
Mm. So how long you stayed with this company?
I was there for 6 years.
Wow.
So
How
it was
long you
right.
been in New York by this time?
Um, I was in New York 6 years. So I started in my 6th year and I was there for 6 years. So I left right at my 13th year.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. And what made you leave?
I wanted to buy a home,
And
and
you weren't trying to do that in New York?
no, I was, but everything I wanted to buy was over $1 million. And Nina don't do renovations. Nina don't do, mm-mm. Nope, nope,
But
nope.
in a lot of ways, you've conquered NYC in more ways than a whole lot of people. It seemed like, you were in a great space financially. Your career was amazing in terms of you were doing something that you love. You love the energy and the different dynamics your industry provided and the challenges it provided. And you were like, you're gonna up and leave it just like that.
When it's time, it's your time. I've always known, and I remember Morgan Freeman saying this on an interview one time, because when he lived in New York, and that's before he moved out to the West. And I remember him saying, "When it's your time to leave New York, it will kick you out."
Mm,
And I never thought in a million years I would leave New York, but my dog is choking.
that's all good. Is he all right?
Yo, China, you just drunk some water and like,
Oh God.
oh my, it's like a child.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah, trust me, I had a one. I had a dog. What kind of dog you have?
he's a Yorkie Bichon mix.
Oh, it's a small little puppy.
He's like 10 pounds.
Okay, I had a 40 pounds beagle mix, and
Aw.
I had her at 3 months, and she changed my life, and in terms of really learning responsibility to care for somebody else besides myself, especially
Yep.
in New York City, and really uh being responsible and taking care of somebody else and learning somewhat discipline. It's also was my excuse. If I didn't want to go nowhere, I'm like, oh, sorry, I gotta I
My,
gotta go walk my dog, and my dog is home. So
my
that
New
kind
York,
of kept me off the streets.
yeah, my
you
New York
know?
excuse was always, if you don't tell me that we got plans before I get home and take off my shoes, it's a wrap.
Right, right, right.
Wrap.
All
Okay,
right, right.
all right. So I remember watching Morgan Freeman, and he said, when it is your time to leave New York will kick you out. I
Uh-huh.
had no desire of leaving New York ever. Like,
Hmm.
how some people move to New York and they already have their exit strategy kind of planned out before they even get there? That was
Yeah,
not me.
right.
I was like, I'm a lifer. I'm
Wow.
permanent. I'm not
Uh-huh.
leaving New York.
Right.
But the winters got way too cold, way too
Hmm.
long. And I did get to the point where I was just like, I'm really wasting my money on
Mm,
renting. And like I said, what I wanted to purchase, it was just way too much.
okay.
And one of my friends was like, "Hey, have you thought about Houston?" And I'm like, "Why would I go back to Texas? That is
Right.
crazy."
Uh-huh.
And she was like, "No, no, 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 no. If you go to Midtown, take a look at their townhouses. They're really great. I think it's the best of both worlds. Like, just check it out." As soon as I came, I was like,
Wow.
"Where I'm living."
Wow. What made you fall in love with Houston? Like how you fall in love with New York at one point. Now
And
you're in love
well,
in
I didn't fall in love. I'm not in love with Houston.
uh-huh.
I like it. It's
Okay.
it is a good. I think I fell in love and married New York. Like New York,
Mm.
we had a 13-year marriage. You know, this is dating. I am dating Houston.
Okay.
I love it because I lived in Harlem for 4 years of the time,
Mhm.
5 years of the time that I was in New York. Um, what I loved about Harlem is what I get where I live right now here in Houston.
What is that?
I see Black owned businesses. I see a melting pot of different cultures and people
In Houston.
um,
Wow.
in Houston.
Mm.
I see the city supporting small minority owned businesses. I see culture. You don't necessarily have to drive in this area. I can just hop on a bike and just, go around. I can walk around. There's tons of parks, there's tons of activities. There's a lifestyle here that you really do get the best of both worlds.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
and like even when I was in New York, I would be like on the weekends, I'm staying in Harlem. I'm, putting my money into my community.
Right,
I
right.
do the same thing here. I make sure I go spend my money on the weekends at Black owned restaurants, businesses, and what have you.
That's
Like
so dope.
I keep that in. So I'm not a suburban girl yet because
Okay.
I
So what
thrive.
did you end up buying? What did you end up buying?
I bought a townhome. So it's 4 stories, 3,000 square feet. It has a beautiful roof deck that overlooks downtown. Um, it's great. And the first floor is an investment property. So it actually has its own private door, bathroom, walk-in closet, bedroom, everything. So I rent that out and it's like taking care of my mortgage.
Wow.
So yeah, so it has turned into an investment property. And it's my first home I've ever purchased. I will definitely probably keep it as an investment
Mhm.
property, for a very long time.
And it's under $1 million.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Like what I paid in rent, I pay in I pay less in mortgage. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. All right. So got an amazing property in New York and in a community that, you feel comfortable, in. So what did you do in terms of career? How did you
Oh, so when my boss found out at Furnished Quarters that I was leaving to move to Texas, he immediately was like, I have a couple of people in Texas I could hook you up with. Let me make a couple of phone calls. And literally, I mean, both of them was like, okay, are you available? When are you available?
wow.
And so, yeah, so it was literally like a job handed to me. Um, so once I came down to try to get, everything settled into the house, 2 weeks later, Hurricane Harvey hit.
Oh, wow.
So as I'm watching my neighbor float across the front of my house in a canoe, I'm like,
No, this is right where you just moved from New York.
2 weeks,
Wow.
2 weeks. So I hadn't actually officially moved to New York. So my lease had ended in my apartment. They
Mhm.
put me up in corporate housing for a month because it was in between the third quarter. So he was
Mhm.
like, I can't pay you out your full commissions until you finish the quarter, so you can't leave.
Right.
So I was like, well, I'm not leaving any money on the table. So I went back and forth.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's when Harvey hit when I was getting my stuff shipped from New York.
I
And
am laughing at the visual that you provided. You're
you can't make this
watching.
up. Like I literally have a picture. I'm sitting on the phone, I'm sitting on the floor because I have no furniture. So I'm sitting on the floor looking out on my balcony on my second floor, and I'm watching my neighbor in a one-seater canoe float
I
in the
don't
front
know
of
it's not
my house.
funny, but
I'm like, you can't make this up. I'm like,
Right.
what? One, you can't even help anyone. It's a one-seater. Why are you out? What are you doing? So I was like, this is happening. So thankfully my niece was here because my niece had already moved here because she went to Prairie View A&M.
Okay.
And so she came and stayed with me during it, and we slept on an air mattress with the
And your
dog.
property was okay though.
Thankfully, yes. So because it was a new build, that first year is all development covered.
Uh-huh.
The builder covers everything the first year. So my roof had a leak that they had to solve because I kept seeing water damage through the windows. So they took care of those. They took care of the roof. So
This is
thankfully,
what happens when you know the business. You know what you could get away with or what your rights are, you know.
exactly. So
Wow.
thankfully, it was very minor. I was able to actually go up to the convention center, help and serve, the unfortunate. Because as I looked around, I kept having to hold back tears because I was just like, I
Wow.
could have been in that same situation.
Right, right.
So I literally called everyone that I knew I could think of. I'm like, I need your prayers. I need your prayers right now. Because every
Mm,
time, like at night, I would open the door and the water would be right there. And I'm
wow.
like, is this the day it comes in and floods my house?
Right.
But thankfully it did not happen. Praise Jesus.
I think that was God testing you. That was God
Oh,
testing
he
your faith.
tested me hard.
That
Because
was God saying, like, how much do you really believe in me and
my
believe
nerves
in
were shot. Oh, that was a scary time.
hmm
But getting through that, it was exhausting, I have to admit. Because then
hmm
the new job was like, okay, as soon as you get here, you kind of have to start. So I've never at that point had not taken a break.
mm,
And I was getting to the point where I was just at my point where I was at my breaking point where I was just
burnout.
very burnt out.
Mm,
And I also felt like the new position wasn't right, even though the money was great. And the people seemed, good, but I just didn't feel like I was even interested in doing the work that they wanted me to do.
mm.
I
You know,
and
it's funny, it's different because in New York, you were like eager, take
Let's go
initiative, you love everything about it. And this was a change. It wasn't the same energy.
at all. It felt like a setback because I have to remember, even though it's still corporate housing, the environment of Texas and New York totally different.
Hmm
And I just
Just
I
in
just
what
knew
ways?
it.
In what ways? Elaborate a little bit.
I mean, I just felt very circa 1992. It just it,
You've outgrown that.
I had completely outgrown what I was getting myself into. So
Hmm
no matter what money they could have thrown at me, I still would not have had the ambition to do the work. But
Mm,
I was also a coward because I did not acknowledge that and speak on it.
mm,
And when it came time, again, when an old client of mine in New York, when she was talking about going into business with me, I still was very fearful because I was just like, "Here's my out. What am I doing?"
right, right.
But it was just like I was just too afraid. Like, okay, wait a minute. But literally had a talk with them about my contract, and they were just like, "We don't even see your drive." And I was just like, "Nope, you're right." That
Wow.
was the first time I just literally had to be honest with myself, and I was just like, "Yeah, I can't do this anymore."
So you left
Yep.
without a job, without an exit strategy.
Well, they helped me leave too. They were just like, "I don't see how we can continue this relationship if you
Wow.
don't want to do the like." I could tell myself, like I would just go in like, "Oh my God, I'm here." It
Right.
was one of those. It wasn't. I
But
had,
there's so many people who have that experience on their job or their 9 to 5 job and they don't see a way out and
no,
they don't have the 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 balls or the
but we're not
guns.
taught that. So
Yeah.
growing up, you're not taught that, and
hmm
you are taught
To
to go
stay at
to
a
school,
job.
go to college, get a good job, and marry 2.5 children, picket fence. Like you are taught that that's
hmm
what you're supposed to do.
hmm
This book that I'm putting chapters in This wasn't like the book that anybody had read in my family. They're like, what are you doing?
Right, right. You're
So
getting
this
good
did
paid money. You just got a house, and you're just, I'm like, I'm quitting. Or,
no,
y'all
like
had a,
fired.
oh, you got fired.
Yeah.
Wow.
It did, because it doesn't make sense for me to continue to do work that I'm not going to do good at. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to say great, because I was great at everything else I did.
Mm-hmm.
I like they would probably even expect mediocre. I had no desire to do it, and for a lot of other eternal reasons,
Right.
inside, office reasons as well. But I was just like, that's not how we roll. And again, the one thing I hate more than anything is micromanagement.
Oh, you
And
had
at
it.
this age in the game, and as long as I've been doing this,
Mm-hmm. So when they did you a favor and fired you, what
yep, they
did you
did. And so
do?
immediately I called my old client, and I was just like, so I'm free now.
Right,
You available? And she's
right.
like, when do you want to start? Do you want to take, a couple of weeks off? I'm like, I don't even know what a couple of weeks off means. Like, can you
Mm.
just give me the weekend and we can just start planning this stuff out? And that's how it all began.
I know you were talking about that journey earlier. So how did that develop? The actual transition to really forming a partnership and forming a business, and get to the point where you guys are actually getting clients and servicing clients.
Yeah, so SCORE, which I don't know a lot of people really know about. So SCORE is basically an organization that is started by other entrepreneurs, business owners, retired or what have you, who are interested in actually just doing kind of community service work to help new small businesses get up off their feet.
Mm-hmm.
So we use SCORE to actually come up with and develop all of the plans and strategies that we needed to put together. I actually just so happened during that time found an incredible business coach who also helped me put together the LLC.
Are business coach expensive? Because
They can be, but mine wasn't, thankfully.
okay.
Yeah, she was a Black girl, Black woman. She was absolutely amazing, still is. And she helped me do everything that I needed to do to actually get everything like together.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Texas, it's always going to be different depending on which state you're setting your business up in.
Uh-huh.
And she was still based in New York, so the one thing we wanted to do was make sure it was based here in
How did
Texas,
you find
not
her?
New York. Huh?
How did you find her?
My business coach came through LinkedIn.
Oh, wow.
So I saw a sponsored ad that she put on LinkedIn about how she was helping people, and I paid a monthly fee of like maybe I think $40.
What?
Yeah. Some of these business coaches are like
That's
$1,000.
Man, this is why I would love a business coach. I mean,
She's
because
amazing. I don't know if she's still coaching now because she's with Udemy right
was
now.
she just starting out, or was she just
No,
she?
she also had started other businesses. So she's kind of a serial entrepreneur, and would sell them and then open another one. And, she kept doing that. And so she decided to, put this platform together to, coach other entrepreneurs and how we could basically help each other evolve.
Mm,
And God, this is why also I love my company name, The Sweet Faith. Sweet meaning, kind of short term. When people think
right,
sweet,
right.
they think short. But faith, I not only leaped out on faith, but everything that I didn't know about, I was unsure about, faith stepped in and took care of all of that.
Mm,
It's kind of like when people say, you as much as you give, like you are definitely going to receive.
mm-hmm,
I felt every time I was able to just let go and let my faith do it, I
mm.
received.
Wow.
And it's because literally I'm on LinkedIn and her like sponsored ad scrolls through.
And that's so random, right? It-
Random, because I'm not on LinkedIn like that.
right.
But yeah, so I connected with her. Thankfully, she was based here in Houston. We connected and just put everything together. So she helped me, like, again, business plan, setting up all of my structures, licensing, getting with the Secretary of the State, franchise taxis, like everything I needed to know about my business and how to put it together. She walked me through it step by step. I'm
Mm,
very grateful for Brittany. She was awesome.
right. And so you started this business with a partner.
Yeah. So she was in it for 3 months.
And what happened?
Well, some people just, it's corporate America. When you are making good money in corporate America, and then all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, it's been a few months and I ain't made no money.
Mm,
Some people can take the risk, some people can't. And at that
right.
time, it was a great idea in her head that, yes, this could be, a really phenomenal thing. And she encouraged me to do it.
Right.
I'm one
Right.
of those people, you give me a great idea and you don't fall through with it, that's fine, but I'm still doing it.
Right.
So
Right.
I still believed in it. And I was just
Right.
like, I'm willing to take whatever, failures or losses comes my way.
Right. How did she bow out of the company? Did
He
she?
literally was just like financially, she's like, I don't think I could, do this another 3 more months,
Uh-huh.
financially to not have a paycheck.
Right.
And I was just like, I get it.
Right.
I at that moment I was just like, you owe me no explanation. And there was no, it wasn't any hurt feelings or anything. It was literally a woman that I was just a few months before we started it. So I knew
Mm,
exactly what that feeling felt like.
right.
So, and during this time, I was in a relationship and it wasn't going well.
Mm,
So I was dealing with that on one hand, then having to split this, partnership to now going to a sole proprietorship and
right.
putting all of that together, which actually happened during a great time because it happened right at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So for tax reasons, it actually worked out great.
Yeah, guys had like a clean break.
Exactly.
Right.
So no harm, no foul. We both wished each other, much success, and we, kind of kept it moving. So
Okay. So
it worked.
now you're in this business by yourself
Yes.
in a horrible relationship
Yes.
and not making any money. What happened?
So literally, I went back to my roots of New York because I had left for furnished quarters and I wasn't under, contract of being able to, assist old clients. That had expired and elapsed. So I was able to actually connect back with clients before. And not so just so happened, they were calling me. I wasn't calling them. They were like,
Mm,
I don't care that you're not with them. Can you still help me?
wow.
Like, actually, I can. Now I can.
Right.
So it all worked out I started literally in Texas building up my business from most of my New York accounts that
Wow.
I actually used to have. And so I was then partnering with Furnished Quarters to actually
Mm,
book my clients because the one thing I did not want in my business, I did not want to hold any inventory.
mm.
I don't hold inventory, I don't have a real estate license, and I do not have investors backing my company. So those are three important things that I talk about in my ebook that I'm like,
You have an ebook.
I have an ebook. So I talk about this. My
Okay.
ebook is basically Move with Faith. How I took $600, invested it into my company, and within 6 months, I made six figures.
Wow. Okay. Share a little bit of that ebook, right? I guess you're about to share that story, right?
Yes. So legitimately, old clients from New York were calling me for housing. I ended up booking them with, of course, my old companies, and
Mm,
they enjoyed the partnership because they were like, "Of course, it's you. We would definitely, want to
wow.
work with you." And then my old boss wasn't with Furnished Quarters anymore, so he had left and went over to Synergy. So I had another partner, and
Wow.
these other brands started popping up in New York through private owners. And so I started having relationships with them. So I'm just building, 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 building
While you're in Houston,
while I'm in Houston.
in a
Yeah.
in a horrible relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep saying that. Thank you.
I really no, because I really want people to understand that regardless, you have so many outs or excuses not to continue doing this thing, and you got a partner that got you into the idea of
Yep.
owning a business, leaving you high and dry, no harm, no foul,
Uh-huh.
and you have a relationship that was not productive,
At all.
at all, and so it was a distraction, but you kept your eyes on the prize and you kept going.
The most important thing I could tell anybody as an entrepreneur, if you are going to start a business, please make sure you love what you do.
Mm,
Had I started something that I did not enjoy waking up every single morning wanting to do, this would
mm-hmm.
not be, you would not be talking to me right now.
Right. Right.
So that was really important. So as I'm building up my stuff in New York, bleeding money. So
Mm,
this is about to get real, real. I'm bleeding money because money's not coming in fast enough. You have to, cover costs from your clients. And I have it actually set up to where it all exchanges once I get paid. So my clients pay me, then I pay the providers.
okay.
And so I don't lose necessarily money from there, but everything else that I got going on that I'm paying for and all of that,
Like what? Like what? How are you bleeding money?
just expenses in general. Like I put in a lot of money in things that I shouldn't have, like marketing and ads and other coaches before I found my great coach.
Mm-hmm.
Expenditures that really was not necessary. Getting an SEO together at the beginning, setting up a website and paying someone. Like all of these things were not necessary in the beginning. It really,
Mm-hmm.
really wasn't. But I wanted to do them. So
Yeah.
I did them. And, between that, mortgage, car, there's living expenses in general. Then I'm still traveling for work because I was always one of those people where I get in front of my clients. I, wine and
And you're
dine.
going back and forth in New York,
I'm back
having
and forth to New York like every 2 to 3 months, back and forth,
wow.
back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So it became one of those things where I literally was like, love my house, but I'm not, in a marriage with it. So I literally, after I broke up with my ex, I decided to move out of my house, rent it, and left all of my stuff with my parents and just became a nomad and got on the road.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, because I literally, when I say I was bleeding, I mean, it got to the point where I was just like, if I keep this up, they're going to have a sign in my front yard that I don't want. It,
Right.
it got that bad.
Wow.
So I literally was like, I got to figure all of this out like quick, fast, in a hurry. And thankfully, Houston's, it's like where I am, it's a great market.
Mm-hmm.
I got, at least in, a week or so. So I was in New York when the broker actually called me. And I was like, let me get back to Texas. I'll start packing my stuff up so that they can move in.
Wow.
And so that was a blessing. And, that all worked out really great. And, since I have the dog, my, parents were able to take the dog. And I got to do all of the things that I needed to take care of with my business, me personally. Like literally for my 40th birthday, I left and went to Bali on a private trip with just me, myself, and I, and did
Wow.
my whole eat, pray, love thing,
Yeah.
and had the most amazing time.
Uh-huh.
Met some of the most incredible people, met and got to actually view some of the most incredible real estate that place has to offer. Um, so yeah,
So
that's
you
where
became homeless technically.
I did, but
Yeah, no.
happily, but happily. I mean, and you think about it, a lot of people right now are wanting to do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I didn't think, oh my God, I just bought a house. Why would I leave and, just like out of my luggage? But it felt so right.
So you say you got on the road. Where did you go?
So one of my other clients that I actually ended up getting right before the pandemic, which is a client that I actually still service here in Texas. The owners are actually in Israel. And so he's like, hey, I'm flying to Dallas. I saw some of your work through LinkedIn, and I'm interested in actually setting up what he calls service departments, furnished apartments, corporate housing, temporary services. It's all the same. It
Mm-hmm.
just all it depends on the hospitality that you put into it. That's it.
Right.
And he was just like, I want someone to help me, put this program together. And I'm like, well, I assist executives of minority owned businesses, and you don't really fit that criteria, but
Right. Right.
let me see let's talk. So he has some properties in the Dallas market. I, took a look at them, and I made some adjustments of what we could do. And he kind of told me the whole plan of what he was thinking. And I was just like, if you let me build this whole thing out for you, I could make it really incredible.
Uh-huh.
And so that means, traveling back and forth. So between Dallas, Houston, Austin, um, New York, back to the South a bit, back to New York on a consistent basis,
Mm-hmm.
having meetings out there for this new client in New York. Um, it just consisted, it just south, north, really didn't go out west much. No,
Mm-hmm.
at Scottsdale once. So
So technically you stopped bleeding money because you're not you're not paying a mortgage.
nope.
Um
Someone's
and
taking care of the mortgage. I have no expenses, literally.
mm-hmm.
So everything that I'm making now cannot go to bills. It can actually go now to start paying down everything that I had to charge up, like, business credit cards and everything else, and start paying off this debt that I had made. And I was able to do that very quickly and then start actually building some liquid so that
Mm-hmm.
I can get to a comfortable place again where I could just breathe.
Right.
And it got to that place where I literally did because,
You said
between
6 months?
6 months. So during that time, I was able to build up, like I said, the New York accounts. I was able to get a government account. I was able to get the development account here in Texas. And with all of that, within 6 months, I was able to make six
And this
figures.
was all based off previous relationships you've
Mhm.
had.
It's a little over like 350 of revenue in that year. Yep.
Oh wow. And you had no inventory and you had
I still
no
don't. I still have no
wow.
inventory.
So
I
this
have no inventory.
everything coming in is pretty much almost profit.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like literally, and it went longer than 6 months, but it took, like, I literally looked up at 6 months and saw, like, oh, wow. Okay.
Right.
Like looking through my books, I was like, okay, this is going to be a good tax year. Okay, great.
Oh, oh wow.
Yeah. So
Were you able to move back into your house then?
I am back.
How long it took you to do that?
I waited a year. So the people that actually rented my house, they wanted to buy it. But I was like, yeah, even though it says lease or sell, I actually just want to lease it. And they
Uh-huh.
were like, okay, well, can we do it for a year and then, give you an offer? I was like, okay, great, no problem. But the pandemic hit and their marriage failed.
Oh,
Yeah. So they could afford it
I was
too.
gonna say look at God, but
Right. Because I was actually itching to come back to Houston. Like
uh-huh.
once you're on the road a lot and
Yeah,
you're
it gets old quick, right?
yeah, like
You
after a while
wanted
I
something
was like,
stable.
time's up.
Yeah.
So their marriage ended, and I was just like, okay, perfect timing. And so when they moved out, I was able to move like literally right back in. And they took
Hmm.
such amazing care of my house.
They did.
Like, I could not have asked for any better renters.
Okay, look at God.
Look at, like, I literally had
Right.
minimal things to do around here.
Okay.
So it turned out to be a true blessing. So able to get that, together. And then of course, pandemic hit during the time I was building the Dallas brand for this client. And thankfully with that, we restructured it because his properties were close to hospitals.
Oh.
So the first thing I said was, we are not doing any corporate accounts. We are not doing any other industry. We are going directly to traveling nurses, all medical staff, and anybody else. We're going to all the recruiters, going directly to the hospitals, and we're going onto any platforms that directly, specifically target them.
Yeah.
Within 6 months, we were 100% occupied.
Wow. That was very quick, quick thinking and great pivot.
You have to pivot. And I didn't even think that. So my company started out as assisting executives of minority owned businesses with temporary housing, but I also assist real estate developers and investors getting into the short term housing brand so they can create ongoing revenue for their real estate portfolios.
Mm.
had the pandemic not happened, I would not even have that a part of my brand. But now,
Right.
like now, I can create short-term housing without even having short-term apartments.
Right.
You can't beat it.
So, I mean, you're very particular, specific in terms of assisting minority-owned business. Aren't you, walking away from a lot of business doing that?
No, my motto is I have become, because I am a woman, because I am a small business, because I am very black. I want to say
Very black.
I'm so black. It's ridiculous. I
And you
want to
still black, moving in these white worlds, girl.
I am. Yes.
What 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 kept you so black? What kept you black?
we've always been there. The thing is, I am now representing me to the complete fullest.
Mm,
I'm walking in as me. I'm talking just like me. I'm building these relationships like me, and I don't have to answer to nobody else but God.
mm,
So that's what makes this so important to me, what excites me about it, because it's a complete me. It's organic, it's original, and I mean, anybody can do what I do, but you can't do what I do.
mm.
So that's what makes it exciting and
Right.
fun, because I really do love what I do.
Hmm.
So it
And
makes
now
it,
it's your business. It's your sweat equity. You're building your brand. You're creating generational wealth.
yes,
Um, a
finally,
legacy. Finally.
that portfolio has diversified.
Uh huh.
She's got passive income. She's got, other things. She's hiring people.
You're
And
hiring people,
yeah,
girl.
I hire contractors to come in and actually work for me sometimes when I need certain things done that, one, I'm not as good at, like marketing.
Right.
I'm not,
Right.
necessarily great at marketing. So why would I not hire another entrepreneur, or, some young person of color who wants to, build their portfolio up?
Right.
So I want to be that tool, and that link for them.
It's
Um,
funny because I don't necessarily see you much on social media.
I'm not on Facebook really. I mean, it's connected to my Instagram. I
Hmm.
I have, postings on Instagram, but I'm not huge at it. I will say I'll try to give the knowledge a little bit more, because I do want a younger audience to understand what I do. And I think a lot of them really would enjoy it, um,
Hmm.
and have more of us in this industry, because I feel like that it's really important. It is another sector of real estate that a ton of people are making multiple
Right.
millions, if not $1 billion off of.
Right.
Um, and you can hear that actually on like Clubhouse, and how some of these people have generated volumes of income.
With no inventory.
None.
So I mean, no liability,
No, you
no
like in a
risk,
market
minimal
like this,
risk,
there's no risk.
minimal risk.
No risk.
That's like the best business to be in.
So during a time where I guess you could say was at my worst and my lowest, I actually made the most on my own for the first time, and had to prove to myself what I could do outside of a corporate umbrella over my head.
So I know because I feel like a lot of us have like a mental block, right? Because we don't know what that looks like. We don't know what having not we don't know what's not struggling look like, unfortunately, because we feel like we're always on that climb upwards and there's always either glass ceiling, racism, like really
Something.
stopping us. So we don't know what that promised land looks like. So
But
you
they
seem
don't teach us that. They don't
right.
teach us that we're supposed to know how to do entrepreneurship. I mean, I never took an entrepreneurship class.
Uh-huh.
I took accounting classes. I have a business management degree,
Hmm.
but I don't remember someone telling me exactly what it takes to be a business owner.
How did it feel when you reached that promised land where you're like, I am not struggling, I'm thriving, I'm creating generational wealth. My I am at peace. I keep saying you're glowing, you got a beautiful smile, you got like an aura about you. And like, how did it feel when you first got there?
I felt like I had finally did what I asked God, that I told him I was going to do, and that was
Uh-huh.
listen to him.
Mm.
because all of
You
these
keep
things.
dropping jewels, right?
Well, because you know what? I think that especially during the time where I was taking a job that I know I shouldn't have taken. I was in a relationship that I know I shouldn't have necessarily been in as long as I
Mm.
was in. I was doing all of these things thinking that that was supposed to be the way for me and these were my next
What
steps.
made you think that was supposed to be the way for you? Because I feel like a lot of us have a resume idea
Plan.
of how you should move. You should marry this type of guy. You should have this type of job. You should live in this type of area. Why am I leaving New York? It doesn't fit the plan. What, you know?
We're trained that way. I mean, literally, I thought I was supposed to take it because I mean, I have an amazing mentor. He
Mm-hmm.
basically said, here's the job. There you go do it. And
Mm-hmm.
it pays amazing and you're welcome.
Right.
I mean, so how do you say no to that when you have now a mortgage?
Right.
Um, and then at that same time, I was a bridesmaid for 3 summers in a row. Right. So the person that I was with, I'm thinking, oh, so this is, my calling. I'm supposed to be getting married.
Mm.
And so but in the back of my mind, every time I did something that I wasn't supposed to be doing, he was talking to me.
Mm.
God
But
was
you know
talking
what? I think God be telling people what they need to be doing, but they don't listen
don't listen.
because they're so programmed or trained to get in their own way, to
Right.
sabotage their own happiness,
Determined, especially as a woman, you get to a certain age. Because at that time, I was in my late 30s. So you
Mhm.
get to a certain age and you're thinking, okay, everyone's talking about your biological clock. Everyone is, saying you have to do this and do that. And all of these pressures of who you are supposed to be outside of your career has now taken a toll on you because you're listening to everyone else. And that
Mhm.
was me. And
Right.
I had gotten sick and tired of being sick and tired of listening to everyone else. So I exploded. And we won't talk about that. But I had a moment.
Exploded. Why not? Kind of.
Well, because it was one of those moments where I'm not actually proud about, but it changed my perspective on what I needed to do to get myself back in line with the relationship I needed to have with God.
Mm.
So I remember getting on my knees and asking him, please, dear Lord, if you can remove all people and things out of my life that does not get me back to the relationship I need with you and center my peace,
Mm.
I don't need it. Please just get me back to that point. I thought it was maybe a person and just, a couple of things like house gone, relationship gone, job gone, like
Wow.
struggle real.
Mm.
But family members, like some of it still gone. Got into therapy, which is totally recommended, whether
Mhm.
you're going through something or not. You go to the doctor for everything else. There's absolutely no reason why you should not go for your mental health.
Right.
You really, even if it's just a group setting, it is
Right.
important for you to get in tune with what your mind is trying to tell you.
Mhm.
So that became really an evolution of building me to who I am. And that's where, when we reconnected, I started talking to you about Dr. George C. Frazier.
Yeah.
One of my other friends, associates on LinkedIn introduced me to him. And almost 2 summers ago, he had this series oh no, 1 summer ago, he had a series of lectures with like Les Brown and all of these amazing, entrepreneurs and, Black business owners. And I mean, the lights just kept flashing in my head like, girl, this is your
Mm.
group, these are your people, this is your tribe. And they were talking about and sharing real deep, intimate
Mm.
information
Vulnerable.
about their
Vulnerability.
stories
Yeah.
that is still available on his Facebook page.
Uh-huh.
um, it's just insightful to know how incredible, if you just put yourself out there, how people are willing to help you,
Mm.
and to know that there is another side to this, whole thing called life when it comes to your career.
Right.
um, I think someone once actually said not too long ago, a lion doesn't teach a gazelle how to get away from them. Like, that's food. So you have to think of life like that. Like, We're the gazelles. So we have to figure out and maneuver how to get away from these lions or
Mm,
become one,
right.
you know?
So you're a lion now?
I'm working my way. I'm a cub.
You're a cub?
I'm a
No.
cub.
You're amazing cub.
Stay tuned. I have some really great things I'm working for 2021 that I can't share just yet, but I'm a cub. Stay tuned.
Okay. All right. So you're an amazing business. You're in an amazing space overall. So what does life look like for you now? Like, you're going through a pandemic with your puppy, and what does life look like for you now? Like, where do you find your happiness? And where do you find your peace?
Staying, meditation. I read a lot. I don't watch a lot of TV anymore like I used to
You're
because
not on social media like that either?
I'm not on social media like that. It's just not necessary. I don't like noise.
Mm,
I know as Westerners, we are just accustomed to it. I don't do noise well. So I like to be at peace and understand what this word means above me.
mhm.
I enjoy getting to know me. I think for the
Right.
first time because the person who I was in my 20s or my 30s is not who I am right now at 41. Like
Mhm.
I this woman took a minute to arrive, but now she's here and I like her.
Mhm.
She's a girl
And
that
you're not
I
married. You don't need a man to co-sign you, you
never needed a man. It's nice to want one.
right,
I still want a life partner. I still
right,
want a family. I still want things in life that I do feel like God put me on this earth to do. I'm just not going to press myself into situations to make me feel like I have to rush and do them.
right,
However it looks like for me, well, that's how God creates it for me. So I'm gonna let him take, front seat. I'm gonna, sit shotgun and I'll figure out what that is for me. But my happiness and my peace of mind that I have for myself, it comes through serving others.
mm,
I've never served in this way before more in my life.
mhm,
And all I've ever done in my career is serve other people, but I've
mm,
done it through platforms that didn't belong to me. Like I'm completely free and not able to really be under an umbrella of someone else's privilege,
right,
you know?
right.
So I'm building my own privileges.
I was about to say, you got your own privilege thing going on.
Yes.
So what's your long-term goal for your business? Um, where do you see
Definitely,
it in the next 5 years?
to really continue to help other young entrepreneurs getting into this game.
Mhm.
I've never thought that I would want to, teach or coach or anything like that, but I think that's also why I
Actually, I need a coach, you know. I need a
yeah,
business
well,
coach.
there are some fantastic ones. I'll definitely hook you
I'm
up.
talking about you being my coach.
Well, but we can talk. We can talk.
No, I'm just saying, the reason why I'm saying that because you definitely, first of all, you like to give, you like to serve, and you like to share. And you're glowing. I mean, your life, you're at the peace. And anybody who experience you want what you have, you know,
Thank you.
in terms of that level of peace, that level of confidence, that place where you are, you're building you're building your space, you're building your generational wealth, your legacy, all that. You have a lot to offer. I mean, I
I'm
definitely
happy that I enjoy being a student.
right.
You spend your whole like childhood trying to, leave so you can be an adult. I am enjoying being a student. I'm a
Mm,
student of learning my relationship with God. I am a student of listening to my clients because had I not listened to them properly, I probably wouldn't have pivoted the way that I did, which
mhm.
was the way that I was supposed to go. I wouldn't have taken the leap and not been afraid. I would have been really afraid to like leave my house and be like, oh, I have to do all of this because I'm losing money and blah blah blah.
Right,
You know,
right.
had
I
this
mean, a
belief,
lot of people are just like, F that. I need to keep my house. I'm gonna get a job.
right?
But you went in the total opposite direction.
I was like, I'm not giving up.
Right.
I'm not giving up. I refused, and in life, I refuse to give up on me.
Wow.
Anybody else can
Ooh.
give up on me if you want to. I, Nina Lachey Taylor, she is not giving up on her.
All
She
right. When
won't.
is your TED Talk? You
But
got a bunch of TED Talks in you, girl.
but that's why I created the ebook, because literally I'm one of those people, when I figure something out, I share it.
Mm,
So why would I not teach someone? Because 9 times out of 10, most of these kids are going into college and they don't need to be going to college. So what if I taught you something that you could do on the side while you try to figure out life, and it earns you a really good income, and you get to be around people and socialize and tour and do these things if you have interest in real estate, and be in an environment where you can also understand corporate America?
mm,
Why would you not want that opportunity, or at least have someone help guide you through it and see if you do like it or not?
right.
So that, I mean, because it's not, when I say my mindset changed. So it wasn't just changing my mind, but you had to have a money mindset. So
Mm-hmm.
I got really good with trying to understand my money, how it can grow for me, how it can work for me, how it can continue to be there when I'm sleeping. Like, those are the things that they don't teach you, and they are not interested in you knowing.
Mm-hmm.
But the knowledge and the information is out there. I love watching the YouTube broadcast on Mondays, Earn Your Leisure, Money Market Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
Those boys, they are doing a phenomenal job. I love listening to Dr. George C. Frazier and all of his lectures that he does. And now he's on Clubhouse, speaking to people twice a week. I am inspired by these people, and I want to learn the proper protocols of how to get my money right.
Right.
I mean, I think as Black people, and if we could have all these neighborhoods that we have, because we don't have any communities, but if we took our monies and actually took these neighborhoods and started building our communities, we could really see a lot more generational wealth. I mean, there's a couple of people in Houston, some Black gentlemen, who are building up these, Black neighborhoods in all of these wards, especially Fifth Ward, that's not too far from me, and creating multiple millions of dollars of communities.
Wow.
So it's out there. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
we all can pitch in and focus on one big conglomerate of how to help each other, instead of
Right.
all of us doing all these separate things. Let's get together and build something special.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of people who trust is a major factor in our community, right? In terms of folks like George C. Frazier, these are teaching, these gems, but they're like, oh, you're just trying to get me money, and you just spewing stuff that we all know. What do you say about people? Because I feel like that's a big roadblock we have in terms of trusting the experts, figuring out who is an expert. That's why I asked you about the social media, because there's so many experts, quote unquote experts on social media. You can't really figure out who is who. Same thing on Clubhouse.
It
How do
depends on
you?
your market. So when it comes to like a product market, yes, that is true.
Mhm.
When it comes to a service market, especially like, if you look at my industry, say on like Instagram, it's not really there.
Right, right.
It's
Because I
really,
didn't know anything about your field at all.
yeah. So it's like, it's mostly realtors and, other, like property management and people like that. But to say, serviced apartments and providers, there's not many of us. And if they are, they're more kind of an Airbnb format, which is not what I am at all.
Mhm.
Um, it it really is a niche. So I would say to people who do not believe in seeking out other people who
And
are,
paying
and
for
that are very,
coaches.
that are extremely
There's so many
successful.
stories of people who pay these, e-classes and these coaches, and they're like, I didn't get much out of it, but I'm out like, $2,000, $5,000.
Or you
That's a
feel like you could have just went to YouTube and learned it. And
right,
yeah,
right.
I'm
And
not saying that that's not out there. I've made mistakes in the beginning of my career for sure, and spent thousands upon thousands of dollars on things that I didn't need. However, that was an experience for me to go through in order to know what not to do.
Mm,
Sometimes you are going to have to take the risk of doing some things that you don't think is right, but you get into them and you figure out if they are or not. So going forward, you know what that experience is like. So
mm.
you can't
Sometimes you
have
gotta go
testimony
through,
without
take
a
that L. You gotta take that
yes.
L.
So, but I will say, like a George C. Frazier, a Les Brown, um, these are people that you
I
could,
tried to sign up for a Les Brown course and I saw how much he was charging. I was like,
but you can hear him free right now on Clubhouse.
right, right.
There are portals and I mean several videos on YouTube that you could
Mm,
also hear from him.
okay.
Go read one of his books. Like if you
Hmm.
can't do the class, you have other options. The
Right.
great thing about Dr. George C. Frazier was when I wanted to talk to him, I shot him an email. Like I shoot my shot. I
Mm,
shot him an email. He was like, give me a call in a couple of days. Call me at this time. He gave me an hour of his time. This is a
wow.
man who gets paid thousands of dollars to speak.
Right.
He gave me an hour of his time
Wow.
and knowledge and information that I still hold deep today because he's that deep.
Wow.
Like these are gifts and tools that you say you don't think you can get, but you don't know until you reach out to these people.
It seemed like it's a mindset shift, like you said, you
It is
know?
a mind. You have to change your mind. That's why, like, you have these like people who've never had money in their whole entire life, and then all of a sudden they win the lotto, and then a few years later they broke.
They're broke again. Yeah.
They don't have a money mindset.
Right.
You have, in order to actually keep money, build it, and grow wealth that is going to continue to grow for you. You have to change your mind and understanding around money. That's not going to be taught. You have to go out and get it for yourself.
Mm, okay. All right.
So I've just been doing the work.
Mm.
That I mean, at the end of the
Somebody
day,
told
I have
me,
to do the work.
it's that simple. Just do the work.
You have to do the
No
work.
one's gonna do it for you.
Nope. And if you're sitting around waiting for someone to do it, then I mean, like women do. I mean, I guess you call them trophy wives or whatever, what have you. But I'm not interested in wasting time. And I
Right.
think for the past couple of decades, I had wasted time, but it was great knowledge on what I needed so that I could move into this season. So
Hmm.
this is just it's a new season, a new journey for me so that I can prepare myself for whatever God has in store.
Quick question. One more question. Oh my God. I usually try to keep my conversation under an hour, but we're going on an hour and a half. But
All good.
I think this is an important question. You found your peace. You found your tribe. How do you keep your peace in your tribe? You know, people are gunning for you because when you shine, people are gonna come and try and get in your world, trying to distract you, trying to, you know, that negativity will, people like they they looking at what you have and they said, oh, I instead of them doing the work, I need to go and get with Nina and get in her world. How do you block those people? How do you keep those people out?
I have to admit, I just don't have those people in my life. You know what? I learned what a narcissist is.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it coming from a mile away now.
Mm. You see them. You
And
see the vultures. You see them coming, and you
I
go,
see them. So when you don't have the mindset to understand what those people are and what they're gunning for and why, it's difficult. But my tribe is small.
mm,
I keep everything very small, very, closed in. And I'm not saying I'm not interested in growing with other people and, helping because that's what I want to do. I want to serve. But at the end of the day, there's an old Southern saying where, when guests come over to your house, they're like, you can come in and, go into my living room. You can't come in my kitchen.
mm.
So I know I
You
know
have your boundaries.
I
You
have my boundaries and I definitely, like I said, I know what a narcissist looks like and I know how to gun for it. And I know also when to shut it down.
mm-hmm.
But you have to have, I think, a relationship with whomever, your spiritual power is for you. Mine is God. I am so close with him and connected with him in my life and that is my priority.
Mm,
Everything else is secondary. So it's
right,
him, it's me, it's family, and then everything else.
right.
So even though I work my ass off in my company, that's not my end all be all. My first is going to be him. Then I have to take care of myself because I can't take care of anybody else until I take care of me.
Mm.
Then I take care of my family. Then I make sure I'm taking care of my business.
Well,
So
you know what?
in that
I'm glad
order.
you say that because there's so many sisters who pretty much are disappointed in black men. They because they invest so much into black men before invested in themselves and they get disappointed. So like the term is I'm divesting myself from black men. What do you think
Setting
about
yourself up for failure.
mm.
I feel like if you don't, because I've done it.
So is the problem black men or is it the problem them not really putting themselves first?
Anytime, and I have to say this because I've experienced it for myself. Anytime you're just like in several relationships and things are not working out, or you're feeling hurt or taken advantage of, or you feel like I've given all and I got nothing in return. Look at yourself in the mirror. That's when you need to figure out what you were not doing in order to actually be a complete total you.
What you are not doing.
Yeah, because
It's nobody else's fault but yours.
you're giving, and I won't say fault. I will say the experience is teaching you a lesson that you do need to be taught for sure. Because
Mhm.
no one and nothing comes into your life without learning something.
Mm.
It's what you do with that experience. So with relationships and with men, one, just let me put this disclaimer out, never leaving black men, love my kings, always going to be that ride or die. There's just too much of you, and why would I lower my standards? I
Mm.
just
Ooh, I
that
like
is
that.
that's the epitome of what I am. And yeah, so I love y'all no matter what. Not
Well,
too,
you know we difficult. You
I,
know
I
we
was
got some
just gonna say,
issues.
not too happy about how the election turned out in regards to how y'all voted, but just saying. Women, we hold y'all down, and we always will be, because that's what we do. We make sure our community is okay. But I got you. I don't know what it looks like as far as, my life partner, but I don't envision anything outside of a black
All
man.
right.
I
So what do
just
you think
I
about
love you guys.
women, black sisters or sisters who are just are done with black men because we've
I
let you
think it's
guys down?
to be honest with you, I think it's either a phase or a cliche of some sort. Um, or they just might not know their worth.
Mm. Well, you
And
said something. You said you look at yourself in the mirror and figure out what you're not doing.
yes,
To
because when you are constantly not being taken care of in a relationship, you are expecting them to give you what you need to be giving you.
mm,
So it's not someone else's job to make me happy. That's my job.
mm,
I'm not saying that a guy is not supposed to take you out and go on trips and do great things. Yes, he is supposed to court you. That's his job. That is
right.
totally true. But at the end of the day, it is not his job to make you happy. That's
Mm,
mine. You
mm,
have to remember that.
right.
And you set yourself up for failure when you perceive that that is someone else's job to do for you, because it's not.
Right. So you put so sisters who are disappointed in brothers for whatever reason, um, they really need to really focus on what makes them happy and focus on making themselves happy first. Is
I'm
that
not saying don't completely, just knock all. I mean, you don't know all black men. Not
mm,
all black men are out to get you or use you or, just, have you as arm candy or, do whatever they do that might have hurt you. It could be just the type of men that
mm,
you're seeking. That's not necessarily one shade, because
mm,
narcissists come in different colors, shapes, sizes,
right,
and, and and
right,
and financial stabilities.
right,
So you have to, understand who you are as a person. Love
right,
yourself first.
mm,
Don't necessarily just look at a person for their color.
right,
I love black men just because. we are the only people on this earth who can't really justify ourselves based off of where we've come from, because we completely lost that based off of our ancestry. So when I think of exactly what they have to go through, when I think of what I've had to go through, when I think of our community and the development and what I'm striving to do in my Black community, in my Black business, I see the love of a Black man.
Ooh,
But that's what I see. I don't know what that entails, but I don't foresee anything else outside.
right.
Only time will tell. But I I put Black men on a supreme pedestal because I am very grateful for the ones that are there for us. How amazing of a gift they are for us.
Hmm.
So I stand with them.
Wow. Girl, I'm here. I got on here to talk about your business, and you just dropped so many life lessons and sharing your journey in terms of how you became this dynamic businesswoman. When is your TED Talk, and how can people really, get in contact with Miss Nina Taylor? Because I feel like you have so much to offer, and I feel like you have another business in you, girl. Public speaking. You just need
I did
to.
a lot in New York. As I said, when I would go to those real estate offices, I would do my spills in front of audiences of anywhere from 50 to over 100 people at a time.
You need to go to your
Um,
community now.
yeah, so
Clearly,
it,
I
it
love the idea of speaking to, like, school kids, especially in that junior high school phase,
yeah,
because a lot of us don't fit into the world that we're supposed to go in. And I think that's why a lot of us fail, because that's not our world. But we have another world that's really greater than that, right?
but I wouldn't say it's failing. I would say it's giving up,
Mm,
because you have so much fear in your heart. You don't feel like even putting your big toe in.
mm.
So you all of a sudden are like, nah, I can't do that. That's not me. I can't be a part of that.
Right.
So you're holding yourself
I
back.
can't code switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
that, it's the fear. Failing is something you have to do in life. So
Mm,
you cannot get around that. That's just going to happen. I tell people I'm a product of my failures, not my successes. So get used to failing, because all of these really successful people, you know them as successful because they've failed really, really hard and they failed forward.
mm.
So there is no such thing as not failing. You have to fail in order to know exactly what you're made of.
Wow. Like I said, what is the next tech talk? How can people get in contact with you? We've been talking for hour and 37 minutes. Felt like 30 minutes. Um, but I really want people to get to know where you are, how they could get in contact with you, and how they could help you continue thriving in your business. So,
So I'm
like,
on
say you have an ebook, where can they find that as well?
Yes. So I'll send you the link to the ebook. But it's also linked on my Instagram page, which is Sweet Faith Housing. That's my page. You can also go to Nina Taylor and click on my personal page. And you can go into my business page. You click on
Mhm.
that link, and that's on there. If you want a free consultation with me, you can also click my link tree in there and book a free consultation, and do some one-on-one time with me, so I can see if I can help you. If I can't help you, I do have a great tribe of people that I can either refer you to or connect you with. So I
Okay.
definitely try to be the connector any way that I can.
Okay.
And of course, I'll be back and forth from Texas into New York this year for sure. And check out my website, which is thesweetfaith.com.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, definitely some more e-learning that I'll be putting out this year as well too, like definition stuff.
Listen, do videos. You look amazing on camera. This is
Okay,
Zoom. You're glowing, nice smile, nice skin tone,
okay,
you
okay,
know, nice background. So I'm just saying, you
okay.
know.
Yeah, well, I mean, stay tuned. I'm definitely going to try to feel more comfortable, because again, have those things where I'm just like, I've always been good behind the scenes. So
No, I trust me. Uh, I've been living behind the scenes forever, and I feel like in order for people to really connect with me, I have to they have to get to know me. I have
yeah,
to share my story. I have to get in a platform where look at me. And I know people do that for the wrong reasons, but I do this podcast for people to get to understand me, but also understand my tribe,
yeah,
which you are a part of, and the world that I so believe is so powerful, but nobody really knows about it,
agreed.
and the mindset that it takes to create that world and to thrive in that world. And I feel like our people are missing out, so
There's so much money out there to be made. Oh my gosh, there's so much money out there to be made.
six
Don't
figures in 6 months.
That's right. If
That's
I can do it, anybody can do it.
right,
And that's a true cliche to be true. If I
right.
can do it, anybody else can do it. But you have to want to do it. If this
Mm.
isn't your thing and you love hair,
Also, get rid of that fear.
you have to face your fears.
Mm.
You have to
And
face your fears
do
and
you
whatever
believe
that.
in fear of success? People do have a lot of fear of success and what that entails.
Yes, because some people don't want to be, as big as a Beyonce or,
Hmm.
Mariah Carey or someone like that. Like no one because there is no real playbook for it, especially for our community. So to get there means a lot of things that you have to give up, and a lot of times you've done something for so long, you're like, I don't want to change my life
You
just
don't
to
want to get out of your comfort zone,
no.
right?
I mean, leaving New York, going to New York actually, and not knowing how to deal with all of that. That was, facing a fear of comfort, but it felt good. Anytime I've ever taken a huge leap of faith out on fear, I've never felt nervous. It actually made me feel good to just take
Mm,
the step.
mm,
I don't know what that is for another person, but it's not butterflies in your stomach. It's just I done got up and I'm about to take the leap of my life. Wherever I fall, may I land. That's
wow,
it.
that's simple.
It's really that simple. We make it hard.
Mm,
We make it hard. But it's really that simple. Because again, in life, failure is going to happen.
mm,
But you have to go through failure in order to be successful.
right. Well, listen, this is a great way to end. We could go on forever, girl. And I appreciate your time. I appreciate you sharing your story with us.
Thank
And I definitely see some dynamic, amazing things in your future. And I see you not in the background.
you. Thank you so
I
much.
I see you in the forefront because I feel like you have a message that our community need to hear. And you
Thank
have a story that our community need to hear. And I feel like a lot of people will be impacted by it. So I can't wait for people to put this episode out so people can hear the story.
thank you so much. It's been amazing catching up with you. We're definitely connecting and staying connected. But yeah, I'm proud of you and everything
Girl,
you've done as well.
thank you.
You have really been an amazing example for
Thank you.
people
Thank
like
you.
me, other people around. New York knows. So the world is about to know. So
Oh, appreciate it. I'm gonna take that because sometimes when people put compliments on you, you kind of deflect it. And somebody told me just say thank you and own it, you know. And I'm learning how to do that. No matter
that's
how
right.
uncomfortable that is, I'm learning how to say thank you and be gracious
Get
and
uncomfortable with
grateful.
being uncomfortable.
Right. All right, girl. We've been talking for an hour and 43 minutes. And I ain't gonna cut not one bit. Maybe the part about the dog, but
Yeah, and the ding on the phone. Ugh.
it's all good. I have a great person that could edit, do some edits for me. So
Okay.
um I
So
appreciate
sorry
you.
about that. And I actually put it on airplane mode and it still did it. I don't know
It's
why.
all good. I mean, we kept it going though.
Yeah.
We kept it going,
No, this was good. Kelsey, I would always, of course, anytime do it for you. You have and this is not an understatement, you've really been a great influence. Everything
Mm,
you've ever done has been positive, has been impactful, has put other people in rooms to network with really great people.
that's my
So
goal. That's
that's
my goal because I believe in us so much, and I believe in us. I believe in our potential. I believe in how our culture, and
yes.
I mean, I don't think we've reached our fullest potential, and I think there are things that's been holding us back. Um, and I
Us.
just want us to have that breakthrough, like
Yes.
like you have that breakthrough. I want us to
It
get
took
to
a
that
minute.
promised land.
It took a minute, but I'm
Yeah,
here. It,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
um, everyone's journey is different. It's kind of like being in an abusive relationship.
Mm.
You can try to get them out as much as you want to, or dealing with an alcoholic. You can take them to AA meetings as many times as they want to. They are not going to stop until they are ready.
And there are some people who feel like abusive relationship is the type of relationship they needs to be in because that's all they've known,
It's
that's all
hard.
they've experienced, and people don't even realize they're in these type of relationships until it's either too late or they're lucky enough for somebody, to be a light in their life to show them
It's
something different.
true, but it's
And
true.
I feel like that's you, and I feel like this is this conversation. So appreciate you for being that light and continue being that light. You're
Thank,
glowing. I'm telling you, you're glowing, girl.
thank you. Yes.
Whoever your dentist is, you gotta. I don't care. I come to Houston. You got that nice, dope smile.
No, that's that. No, Dr. Kim Kokosian in New York in the Chrysler Building. That
Okay.
yes,
Yeah, you taking care of that teeth of yours.
yes.
It's glistening. you need to make you need to make some toothpaste commercials or something.
Thank you
I'm
so
just
much.
saying.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
girl. Have a good one. Thank you.
All right, take care.
What up? What up? What up? Thank you for listening to another episode of Reverse Ambition. I hope you enjoyed the conversation and got some inspiring nuggets. Before you go, though, please remember to subscribe so you'll be alerted when the next episode is dropped. You don't want to miss out. And remember, it's never too late to leave to follow your dream or your passion. You can always lead back. Live your life with no regrets. Until next time, my name is Kelsey Cooper, aka the Social Broker. Peace.